How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Warframe video. Today we are going to be talking about bounties. Yep, and specifically in this video we're going to be looking at those on the Plains of Eidolon, so the ones that you accept from Cetus. And I want to kind of demonstrate how I do those and how I've done those basically since I started this account, because the frame that I used at the beginning was Vault. I chose Vault as my first frame, and I still use Vault today for running these bounty missions because he is just the best frame for the job, in my opinion. He can vastly improve the time it takes to finish an entire bounty. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and run through a build that I'm using. Bear in mind when you're looking at this build, it is very expensive, and you definitely don't need everything on this build to improve your bounty times on Cetus. It's just that obviously the point I am at the game, I now have access to these mods, so I can demonstrate it easier just doing it this way. But yeah, let's hop straight into it, and we'll take a look at Vault, and then run through the rest of it, and then we'll just quickly talk about the bounty missions on Cetus, and where Vault can be of service. So yeah, let's have a look. So the Vault is built solely for strength, with a bit of efficiency and a bit of duration. Now, obviously, the more strength you get, the faster your 2 becomes, which is what we're kind of aiming for here. We're aiming for a nice and speedy second ability, which is going to help us get around the plains very quickly, as well as speed up various various units, such as, drones. Again, we'll talk about this in a bit. Rescue targets, things like that. It's very, very useful. We've also got Shock Trooper on as well to augment our first ability, which is going to give us an extra 366% damage. So that's also, a lot of damage. And then if we have a look at the rest of the build, it's just built around basically durability. 3 Umbral mods. I've got 2 Umbral Former on. If you do not have access to Umbral Former, just run normal Vitality. If you can fit Umbral Intensify on, then by all means, please do so. If not, normal Intensify is just fine. And then rather than Umbral Fiber, you could run something like Adaptation or Prime Continuity if you wanted to get a bit more duration on there. Or if you're not too fussed about duration, you could swap that out for something like Fleeting Expertise, which would then obviously improve your efficiency. So yeah, we've also got Arcane Velocity on here. This isn't, again, necessary. However, for the build that I'm currently using, I've got Knell Prime on. And Arcane Velocity with Knell Prime is extremely powerful. And it kind of ties in a bit with the Shock Trooper, and we'll explain why in a second. Arcane Guardian, for a bit more durability. Again, just adding to that armor that we already have. I'll quickly run through the Archon Shards that I have here. However, if, again, you don't have access to Archon Shards, or perhaps you don't have the same Archon Shards to hand that I do, it doesn't matter, throw on what you've got. If you don't have any, it's not going to make a huge difference to your gameplay, but I'm getting an extra 35% strength here from the Archon Shards. Then I'm also getting an extra bit of cast speed from a Tau Forged Amber, and also plus 225 armor from a Tau Forged Asia. For my primary weapon here, I'm running the Kuva Hek. You can run whatever, super hard punching primary weapon that you want. Rubico Prime, Perigale, anything like that is going to be great here. I actually very rarely use this during the mission. It's mainly for like single targets that I need to use this for. Whereas everything else is basically going to be either the Knell Prime or the Plague Krapath with my Exodia Contagion build. So the Knell Prime... sorry, let's look at the Kuva Hek first before I get ahead of myself. Kuva Hek is simply built around multi-shot and just raw damage, as well as radiation damage, and I'll explain why we're running radiation when we get into the plains. Yeah, so crit, multi-shot, radiation, and then I'm running laser sight for headshot crit chance. You can run something else there as well if you want, by the way. So shrapnel shot, for example, is a good one. Motor setup, also good. So yeah, bear that in mind. For the Knell Prime, I do have a Riven mod on here. If you don't have a Riven mod, simply replace this with Convulsion to get yourself radiation damage. This is, again, we'll explain this when we get into the plains, but my Riven mod here just gives me raw crit chance and crit damage. And then the Heated Charge, where we're only getting just heat, that's going to combine with our Vault's first ability, the Shock Trooper Augment, and it's going to combine to create radiation for us. So we don't need an electric mod here. as yeah, we'll just be using Volt's first ability to get electric and therefore radiation. So yeah, everything else on here geared for crit, geared for attack speed, multi-shot, and that's basically it. You can see our crit chance is up near 180%, so we're basically dealing orange crits the whole time. For our Krapath on Exodia Contagion, we have Vulpine Mask here and Organ Shatter, North Wind to create Viral and Heat with the Molten Impact, Primed Fever Strike. If you don't have Primed Fever Strike will suffice just fine. Gladiator Might, Gladiator Vice for some more attack speed and crit damage, and then Sacrificial Pressure and Sacrificial Steel. I'm running Madurai for the extra damage, as well as, you know, your first ability if you want to just gain insane damage at some point. There's not much else going on with this, to be honest. That's just what it's going to do. We also get extra casting speed when we come out of our operator, and we also get increased ability strength when we do a chain sling, which we're going to be using at the start to improve the speed of our second ability. Our Parazon doesn't matter too much for this build, but just a quick run through here. We got Auto Breach, Runtime, and Livewire. For our pet, I'm using a Kavat. I always use Smita Kavat because I just like resources, and she does have a chance, obviously, to proc that, so that's why I'm running Smita Kavat, but you can run whatever you are comfortable with. Let's have a quick look at the build that I'm running here. So it's just Link Health, Link Armor, and then Tech Enhanced Charm, Primed Animal Instinct, and Fetch for this particular farm or bounty. Obviously, I would recommend having an Archwing launcher. You can bind this to whatever you want. Energy pans can also help if you start running low. So those are the two gear that we're going to be using. And then finally, our Itzel here. We've got Hyperion Thrusters for increased movement speed, as well as a bit of durability here. Cold Snap for CC, Energy Amplifier for range, and then a bit of efficiency, like I said. And that's basically it, guys. So what we'll do, let's just hop into Cetus real quick, and we'll just kind of talk things through a bit before we get into an actual run, and then we'll round off the video after that. Alright guys, so we're in Cetus here, and I think I'm going to do this kind of just by showing off the build and going into a bounty mission, and then just kind of talking it through as we go. But when doing bounties, no matter what level you're doing them at, whether it's just normal, Steel Path, Narmer, it does not matter. There's always the same rotation of missions in each one. Sometimes they come with their own little quirks, like in Narmer, the assassination target has Vonvalist Guardians, but at the end of the day, it's still an assassination mission. So you need to divide these into like two groups. There's ones that can be sped up, and there's ones which are time-locked. And by time-locked, I mean you're not going to be able to improve the speed no matter what you do. For example, where you defend the resource cache before it opens, that's going to be based on a timer, and you have to wait for the timer to run out before the mission completes, so we can't improve the speed of that at all. There's also Liberation. Liberation, you have to maintain control of an area for a specific amount of time, so you can't improve the speed of it at all. But there are missions like Exterminate. You can kill enemies faster to improve the time. There is the Drone Rescue, where we can use Volt's second ability to drastically improve the time of that mission. There is the Rescue mission, where we can obviously improve the time by basically just using our Archwing to fast dash to wherever the rescue point actually is after we've got the target. And then there's things, you know, like Capture, which are just single target attacks anyway and are very quick. So we want to be averaging, really, with both mission types, around under 2 minutes. So the goal for this is going to be to do a 5-stage bounty in under 10 minutes. And perhaps, you know, we'll get some neat resources along the way. Now, the reason that I've taken Radiation is because it's very useful at taking down the dropships that enter the area. So you can use either your Plague Krapath or your Zor, whatever Zor you're using, with Exodia Contagion. Or you can use your Knell. Like I said, we got Heat on there. When it combines with our Volt's first ability, we get a nice dose of radiation damage. So let's go ahead. I'm going to do the Narmer bounty. The reason I'm going to do the Narmer bounty is because for me, at this point in the game, it's the most lucrative. You can do whatever you want here. However, I probably would advise against doing the Steel Path node. If you're looking to just farm standing, then obviously the Steel Path bounty mission here has the most. It's only, however, 80 more than the Narmer bounty. And it is harder. It's more annoying, I would say. You could easily do it with this Vault build that I'm running. But it's not worth it realistically unless you are literally solely farming for standing. But to be honest, you know, you're probably better off doing Narmer anyway. You get loads of Endo and Narmer Isoplast, which you can use for standing on Fortuna for various amps and other things from Little Duck. So it's generally just quite a good one to run, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Now the rest of them, obviously, it's entirely up to you, depending on what resources you need or blueprints you need, like Furax Wraith and things like that. But yeah, today we're just going to be doing the Narmer bounty. So let's go ahead and throw that on, and then we'll hop in. Okay guys, so first thing we're going to do when we come in, just proc our Madurai's extra ability strength. I'm actually going to hit my first as well here. Get to the center of the map and then just go wherever it tells us to. I'm going to throw down my on-call crewmate just for a bit of extra damage. Not strictly speaking necessary, but you know, it is nice. We can use our Zor to take out that ship. Just for a nice and quick kill. Whoops, missed that. There we go. So the target is now coming out. Our Knell Prime is pretty good here. We can use this to headshot the Vonvalists and then him. And once again, we can just get to the center of the map and look for the next mission. So we've got a Liberate mission here. In order to start the timer, we need to clear the hostiles. So let's just try and do that relatively efficiency. So we've got to wait for 2.5 minutes now, and there's nothing we can do about this. We just have to keep the control up, which we can do quite comfortably just by, you know, taking out these cruise ships. Well, not these cruise ships, but you know, drop ships, I should say. So yeah, I'll just keep this up, guys, because you know I'm literally just gonna be taking down cruise ships as they enter. And then I'll catch you guys at the end. Alright guys, so time is up on this one. That was fairly comfortable. So let's move on to the next. That was a longer one, obviously, because it had a capped mission timer of 2.5 minutes or so. Another capped mission timer. We just got to defend the Armored Vault. So those two missions actually in a row are probably the worst ones to get in terms of time. When you get them back to back, it's obviously a lot worse. But we just have to defend this console now. It shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, that one's done now. Once again, we're going to get central. Or central-ish. A drone mission. So we're just going to use Volt's second ability to boost this guy up a bit. As you can see, he moves a lot faster. There we go. And we've got an Exterminate one to finish us off. Whoops. Okay. This hasn't started well. But, you know, I'm sure we can bring this back a bit. And there we go. So that's a full bounty mission right there. And let's see how fast we did it, even just extracting as well. Okay, so in 8 minutes and 32 seconds, we managed to get ourselves 6,173 Ostron standing, as well as 3,000 Endo, a Quorum blueprint, a couple of Amar mods, Naira's mods, and, you know, various other bits and bobs from the plane. So it is a very lucrative way to farm resources. People always ask me, you know, how do I get endo early game? This is how you do it. Not a lot of what we just did actually requires, like, lots of damage. It's more the speed element that's going to help you out here. As long as you can maintain, obviously, the points that are like the liberation one and the defend the cash one, then you're going to be absolutely fine. And, you know, 3,000 endo in 8 minutes is not too shabby at all, if we're being honest. There are missions out there that are that claim to be, you know, good endo farms, but 3,000 in 8 minutes, I think, is pretty decent, especially when you're doing it solo. I think that's the main thing we need to think about here, is that we're doing this mission solo. And getting 3,000 endo solo in 8 minutes, that's actually very good. So yeah, hopefully this video was informative to some degree, or you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, whether or not you use anything different for your bounties. I know a lot of people use things like Mesa for obvious reasons, just the damage output and also the survivability, and her general utility is quite good. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if I'm missing anything, or perhaps there's any ways you can do some of these missions faster. I'd be happy to read through those comments down below. But if you did enjoy the video, guys, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. I'll see you later.